I don't know if there was 3 ladies here, young ladies. But like I say, like before when I was walking into here, I felt like I had been dragged and beaten. My arms were all scraped and everything, and I was like actually fearing for my life. And then when I walked in here, it was like boom. When I walk up here, it's just like I feel really dizzy. I feel like I don't know if I've been choked or something. I don't know if it's if one of the females that have been here that's been strangled. I know something not nice has happened here, but I can't quite put my finger on it just yet. I don't know if there's been something like torture, rape, that kind of stuff, like real nasty, sinister stuff.
Any particular age of victim or anything about whoever you can, who's had this happen to them? Anything you can pick up on them?
I'm just getting, I don't know why out at this like downstairs I've got like 3 young ladies, and they're sitting there just whimpering away, like really like scared, and like curled up in the corner. And that was downstairs, but when I walked up here, like I was coughing and my throat was dead tight, like I was being strangled.
Okay, we're in a house that's actually on Leavesden Female, sort of quarter of the property, and we're basically in my friend's living room. And anything you can pick up here at all, Claire?
Well, as soon as I walked in through the front door, I felt like I was being dragged in, like my arms were being scraped, and I had that sense of sheer fear. But because I've never been in here before, as soon as I walked in, the whole room was just spinning, and straight away, well, it took a little bit of a wait, straight away I was getting the 3 young females just hurled up in a corner, and they were like whimpering away and like petrified for their lives. I also feel when I walk upstairs, I couldn't quite pinpoint it, if it was a male or a female or a young girl, but there was definitely somebody being strangled. There is a gentleman here who's not very nice as well, that used to like get his kicks out of doing what he did. Do you know what, I've got that sense of sheer dread, like I'm like literally fearing for my life. I'm actually starting to feel really nervous as well.
Okay, Paul, so we're in your property, and you've had some disturbances here before. Could you tell us about those?
Yeah, I've been here for 8 years. When I first moved in, never thought I was alone in the house. Very strange feeling. Over the following 2 years, I had various things happen to me. I was always covered in bruises. There was always a feeling of somebody watching you. There was a feeling that somebody would actually push down on you and be a weight bearing down on you. Friends witnessed various things, footsteps, TV going mad, scrolling through channels randomly, and your temperature drops, orbs. It was then after I was then talking to the neighbour one night, and she was my old neighbour was experiencing the same thing. Ultimately, it wound up with the pillow being pulled out from under my head. And at that point I met a medium by chance. She told me next time it happens, say stop it, that's mine. A few weeks later I had the same experience with the pillow, and said that, and you could physically see the grip on the pillow being released. That led to a clearance of the house, and 7 mediums come one evening. Very strange night. Very strange stories told about what was actually happening on this property, and a mass clearance. House settled down for a little bit, then 2 years ago it built back up again. Another 2 mediums came. the original mediums wouldn't come back to it. It was that badly in their opinion. They then came back, the two mediums came, they literally walked around the house and they never seen two people leave the house so fast.
Okay, Martin, could you explain to us factually just the first place or the location we've just been?
Sure. Where we are right now is we're in what would have been the women's wards of Leavesden Asylum back in the 1860s, 1870s and everything. So behind us, the house that we were just visiting, behind us here, would have been the actual location of where the tuberculosis ward was. It was a very large tuberculosis ward because treatment of tuberculosis back in the 1860s and 70s was to get people out into the country. So believe it or not, 3 miles north of Watford at Leavesden Asylum was out in the country. So there were a lot of people that were brought here. So you would have had anywhere between 60 and 70 people housed there that were suffering from tuberculosis at that time. You would have also been right near the women's wards, so you would have had a lot of activity with the women. A lot of the women that did come to these asylums and everything back in those days did have children that were taken away from them, so you would have had a lot of very unhappy ladies here, you know, with their children being taken away from them. So that's all that was happening over on this side here, just near that house that we were just in. So.
Okay, Claire, we've been left at this location. Not quite sure why. Obviously, because I know nothing, same as you do. So, yeah. Are we picking up anything here?
It's like obviously we've just come here. It has got a certain feel to it, and I'm not too sure because I'll keep on getting a murder.
Okay.
I don't know if there has been a murder here. I can't quite pinpoint exactly where. When I first come in, there was somebody like watching us from down there, from behind that tree right there. They just like stood out like that and went back. And I don't think there is anybody down there like human-wise.
No, there's nobody as far as I can see.
I don't know if it's a gentleman. He's got like a, oh God, what's it going on? He's got like a top hat and tail on. But I don't know, he seems to be all like nicely, elegantly dressed up. I don't know. But I'm getting dead strong murder. Could be wrong, but
Any particular sort of murder?
I really don't know, but I feel like there has been a murder.
So Martin, we're now approaching dusk.
Yes.
We're at our third location. And I'm intrigued to know what happened here.
We're on the south side of the park, Russell, what is now Leavesden Country Park, but this was also the site of the St. Pancras Orphanage, where in 1871 they opened their doors to 769 orphans on this site here. So behind us would have been where they had the apple orchards and part of where they grazed the cows, everything to feed everybody that was in the orphanage. They also had a greenhouse here. They were very well known for their roses and the flowers that they grew here and everything. But also on this site here, just in front of us, would have been the 5-bedroom, 3-story house that they had for the senior nurses. Over on the other side of that, across the road, would have been the gatehouse. So that would have been the gatehouse for everybody that came into the orphanage here. And we had reported at one time in that gatehouse, and we have some evidence of it, which I have right here. We have this evidence as burnt shale here, and we also have a lot of other burnt pieces that we've discovered during our tours and everything. So we had an incident where there was a fire here, in the gatehouse back in the 1950s. And even prior to that, there was speculation there was another fire. So in the 1950s, the gatehouse caught fire, and the gentleman who was the gatekeeper at that time actually passed away. And his bedroom, if you look at the house, is the top left-hand side bedroom. So that's where we have had some sightings of different things going on there. People that used to live in the house, one gentleman in particular, did see something that was in there, and it was always described as a tall gentleman.
Sorry, Martin, to interrupt you there, but actually the reason why I brought you down here was because when I was talking to Claire just behind me, she actually pointed over to this tree, which is why I brought you here to your side, and she said the gentleman was basically stood there with top hat and tails and a tall guy, and he was looking out at us. Yeah. And I actually asked her, is this guy something to do with, you know, the murder of which she keeps feeling this murder? So what's the story with this tall gentleman with the top hat and tails?
The tall gentleman in the hat and tails would probably be most likely, she's describing, what Claire's doing is describing the gentleman that did live there. He was the gatehouse keeper. Now, the fire may have been a cover-up for something else. All we know for sure is there was a fire there. The gentleman did pass away, and we have had reports in just recently here that there has been some poltergeist activity in that area. And the description is exactly that: tall man, dark hat, and a top hat.
And that's been from other people who've reported?
That's been from several other people that I've spoken to. One gentleman who actually lived in that house as a young child in that bedroom actually said that he did see at some point a ghostly figure walking through his bedroom. So I think Claire's picked up on something there.
Wow, that's fascinating, considering we're standing here.
Yeah.
I always appreciate the fact that we're brought where the ghost is standing.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for that.
Yeah,
Thank you,
lovely.
Martin.
So good.
Okay, Claire, once again we've been told to come to this next location. Are we getting anything here at all?
Well, as soon as I walked up this way, I had seen something just roaming about here. I wasn't too sure what it was, but there's definitely a young female that's here, and I don't know if it's a female that I've spotted on the other far corner as well. I don't know if she just walks along here, just doing a normal day-to-day stuff. I think that girl that I got along there was called Elizabeth, and I'm positive it's the same one.
Yeah.
She is coming through dead strong. She's very, very elegant as well. That's really all I was getting on her, but she's just minding her own business. She's just harmless, just like still, gliding back and forwards, just roaming around here.
When you say elegant, in what kind of dress?
She's got like a God, I keep on saying it. It's like Victorian style dress. She's all in white.
Okay.
And it goes out at the bottom, and she's like got the ruffled up collars as well.
Okay. Does she look like a possible patient?
No, I don't really think she was. Or she could have been visiting somebody here.
Okay.
She could be. She's got like reddish brown hair, and it's just all tied up. I don't know if she's like has something to do. She's definitely not a patient. I don't know if she was like if there was one of her family members in there, or she worked in there. That's all I'm really getting with her.
Okay, here we are, Martin. Now it's beginning of night time. It's now dark, and again we're in a different wooded location. Could you tell us where we are?
Right now, Russell, we're on the north side. We're back on the north side of the park and everything. So this is where in 1932 the main hospital annexed the old orphanage, which is behind us, across what is now College Road. At that time it was called Asylum Road. So in 1932 they closed that orphanage over there. They put all the orphans in different places, smaller places all the way around. So the hospital, Leavesden Asylum, or at that time it was known as Leavesden Hospital, they decided they were going to annex that building and use it for a training facility because there were two schools over there, industrial schools. So they were going to use that. But they thought, well, we don't want all of our patients and everything walking across the street all day long. It would be very dangerous in that. So what they decided to do is they built a subway. So behind us over here in the wooded area that you can see is actually the remains of the old subway that goes underneath College Road and up on the other side behind the old orphanage gatehouse, and that would have led to the industrial school. So people would have come back and forth from this quite a lot. This would have been a very, very heavy traveled area. So you would have had nurses, patients, staff, vehicles, small vehicles, carts would have been coming back and forth here quite a lot. So you would have seen quite a bit of foot traffic through this area.
Martin, if you don't mind me interrupting again, while I was here with Claire a few minutes ago, she basically pointed out a very well dressed lady in typical Victorian wear walking from behind you, literally heading down this pathway. So she could have been obviously quite accurate with that, I assume.
She could. The reference to a Victorian woman would have put it a little bit out of date, but this was still going to be a very big passageway. What we can't see just on the other side is the actual gate that used to be for the staff coming in. So anywhere in this area would have been access to the coming from the street, from Asylum Road into the park. You also have to understand that to our right over here would have been the gatehouse. So this would have when all the employees would have come through here, and they actually would have walked through this. So even back to the 1870s, 1880s, in the Victorian times, this definitely would have been a place where staff and nurses coming to work, they would have walked this very same path that we're on right now, and they would have ended up in the main administration building, ready for a day's work.
Martin, if you don't mind me saying, looking at it now, you'd never be able to tell that?
You'd never know. I mean, people do know a little bit about it, but it is very covered over. We only found it and did a little bit of investigation into it several years ago when I was working here. So it's an ongoing thing. We hope to discover more interesting information about the subway and the alleged paintings that were done by the patients in 1949 when the NHS took over. So the walls of this subway going underneath College Road are painted with murals. So we're hoping to discover that someday. So we'll have you back when we do, Russell.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
As I was walking down here, I was starting to feel a bit angry and a bit agitated, like that. And straight away I spotted a guy over there. I don't know, I think he is connected with that house. I'm not quite sure. But I can't really get much on him. He was just, I don't know, he's did something, but he is really angry. And he was just running about there. And I thought, oh, well, where's he going to? And that's when I walked further down and I've spotted that house. But I probably wouldn't be able to pick on any more until I go in there. But
yeah, unfortunately we can't get in the house.
But he does linger about there. I think on a night time, if you do walk about, or if anybody's walking about on a night time, I think he would scare them.
Okay.
People would feel his presence around him. He is quite a strong character.
Yeah, so he's not a friendly character.
No, he's not a friendly character, because I was starting to feel dead angry and dead agitated, like really, really angry. And that's when I spotted him over there. It's like when I was walking down here, I thought, oh, it's a bit eerie in that down here. And then I spotted him over there. And I seen him run here, but I didn't know what was there until I walked further down and I spotted the house. So I do feel like he is connected with that house.
So now, Martin, it's now night time.
Yep.
It's feeling a bit more eerie. Could you just explain to us this house is here, this derelict house, should I say?
What we have behind us right now, Russell, is the original farm cottage that was originally occupied by a Mr. Buchanan. In 1868, when they started the hospital, they also started 42 acres of farming around here, and he was in charge. The interesting things of this site right here is we did have a incident of a murder, a double murder actually. There were some individuals that broke into the house, and there was a struggle. A shotgun was produced. Mr. Lazarus and his wife were both killed. When the people were caught and taken to St. Albans Court, they were tried there, and they were apologetic, saying they thought they were breaking into the new chapel and they were after the silver. So we do have a little incident of those kind of things happening.
Right in this building?
Right in this building behind us here.
Well, one thing before we finish on this, Claire felt that there was a character from behind the direction of this property, so from behind me walking towards this property, that she felt she saw that was possibly not a very nice guy, and possibly a caretaker of some description. Would that fit anything?
That would definitely fit anybody that would have lived in here would have been the caretaker. Also right behind us, which we can't see on the other side of the house, is actually the cemetery keeper or the gravekeeper's cottage. So there would have been somebody around here of all times that would have been a caretaker, would have been a gravekeeper, or something like that. So very possible that this was all the workmen around here. So that would definitely have fit the bill for this house or the other house that's just behind us.